Chris Level here with another edition of Pirate Talk. Chip Darden to my left, as always. Colton Coons behind the camera taking care of us. And a little longer week, I guess, for you guys. You play a week ago on a Thursday. Now we get a little extra day. There's a little payoff there after a 31-20 win, which clinches a playoff spot for the old Pirates yet again.
12 years straight, I believe, going back. I think 2013 was when the streak started. So.
Pretty salty.
It is, and it's I think what's neat is our kids. They have the expectation of doing that, and I think sometimes people maybe roll their eyes when I'll talk early in the year about trying to get to the end of the season and being in a position to possibly make the playoffs and play for that. But that's really the approach that we take. We don't take it for granted, I guess is what I'm trying to say, that we know it's earned. We know it's hard to do. It's hard to win games. And so each year it's been really fun to be a part of this 12-year streak. But we are proud of it. Our kids are proud of it, and they earned it. And you don't preseason expectations and what you did last year, that doesn't get you in the playoffs. You got to win the games. And so been really proud of them, and it's kind of nice. There's maybe a little bit of weight off the shoulders after you clinch that and go, okay, we get to play in the tournament, and now let's just finish these last two and just play free and know that we still got more games ahead of us.
Yeah, because that's obviously the goal, is getting the playoffs, but you got a district championship to try to go win too, which I know is also part of the goals. But improves the Pirates to 7-1 overall, 4-0 in the district. 31-20 over Palo Duro on that Thursday night, and you kind of got a lead early, Rodriguez to Deaver, and it just kind of set the tone where you really allowed to play in front the entire game. And Palo Duro kept fighting, and they threw the ball all over the place, but you guys just kind of kept them at arm's length most of the night. Yeah,
really good start. We get a 3 and out. You know, we won the toss. It might be my first one to win all year. We won a toss, so that was good. I actually thought about taking the ball just so we could have the wind, both halves, but decided to defer. We get a 3 and out. Defense was, I thought, really good all night. But anyway, get a 3 and out, score on the first play. So you're almost, you hope there wasn't like we got this. This is easy. But we knew they would battle back and play really hard. Palo Duro was just too good of a team. But it was good. It was a team effort. I think there's plays that go unnoticed a little bit in a game like that that, to me, showed the character of our team. We gave up a score in the I can't remember if it was the third or the fourth quarter, but they cut it to about a 1-score game. We blocked the extra point, which, number one, we emphasize that a bunch. It's a scoring play. And so the fact that we blocked it, that we, made a great play there, and then it turned into this wild play. It was like 20-something seconds long. And our guys are running all over the field because they knew those points matter. Anyway, we stop them. I thought that was a kind of a momentum play that we needed. And so, anyway, there's plays like that throughout the game that some of our guys are making that don't show up in the stat sheet, that in a game like in a district game that you're playing for playoffs, they matter. And a lot of times they add up and can win you football games.
Yeah, some people would say, and I've heard this, that when you're on the PAT block team, I guess, however you want to phrase that, that's 2 or 3 of the seconds that's the hardest in all the sports.
Yep.
Because a team has scored, typically, we let them in the end zone. And it's like, you can go through the token like, I'm going to get my hand up and act like I'm doing something.
Yep.
But if there's a lot of effort there,
absolutely.
Because it does matter. Absolutely does matter. And
our coaches, we take pride in it. We scout them. It's funny. We'll text Coach Rhodes, Coach Reed, who kind of handle that part of special teams. That we text about where we think we can block, how we think we can block a kick. It's not just random each week. There's a purpose to it. So we take pride in it, and we take pride in our field goal as well. Like we spend a lot of time on it. I don't know a normal. I hadn't been around other teams' practices in our district, but I bet we spend time on field goal and field goal block as much as anybody.
Deuce is just kind of continues to emerge as a running back, a running threat. 34 carries. Am I saying that right?
That's right.
That's a lot. But, I mean, close to 200 yards rushing, gets a touchdown. I thought Caden Brown coming in at quarterback with a couple of short yardage situations. And then Cole Stanzione just continues to be the glue on this defense. I feel like I mentioned his name too much because his tackle totals, but it's worth mentioning. You don't want to. He's one of these, and most of these guys I just talked about, except for Deuces, they're all seniors.
Yep.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but kind of take me through some other guys.
And I thought I got to keep it each side of the ball is easier for me. But talking about offense first, you mentioned Deuce right off the bat. Our offensive line played pretty well the whole night, and tight ends. We decided at halftime that one of the things we thought we could do with a lead is get big. We'll say get big, but we got in 13 personnel, one back, 3 tight end, and kind of said, hey, we're going to run it right at them until they stop it. Well, the first drive, we were just successful all the way down the field, so we stayed in it. So our O-line, that and a lot of it was to the right side where Hudson Hamilton, Blaze Douglas are playing. At center, Peyton Duncan was there and has played a lot of games, kind of got banged up. So Kyle Polite jumps in, Keenan Catwinkle jumped in for a little bit too, and then on the left side, Wyatt Schaaf is a sophomore that's just growing up, and John Ryder Hatton's been just solid all year, and he got the hog of the week. And then, but those tight ends, Cash Truby, Easton Barnhill, Spencer Hoagland played a little bit. Wyatt Hare, we call him Gerald Hare. Those guys just come in, and I mean, there's a lot of times I think every person in the stands knows. I mean, in the whole stadium knows exactly what's coming. And we're still executing it where safeties are having to make tackles. And a lot of runs are designed where safety makes a tackle, and that's what happens. So really good job. And I think could have been boring football for some, but we thought it was pretty fun football. And we were able to control the clock. I want to say about 11 minutes that we had it in the third quarter. It was something crazy how much time we had the ball in the third quarter. So that was just huge, I thought, for the game. And then defensively, Cole is just so solid. Noah Basinger, Tommy Cohn coming in and filling in for an injury from Preston Jones. I thought they're just getting better each rep that they get. But our front four continue to just be really good.
And it's kind of 5 now.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It really is. And got a lot of faith in them and what we're doing. And they play hard. And now, if there's one thing on defense that we're nitpicking is we didn't tackle great in the second half. I thought there's some excuses for that. We can make excuses. Like they hadn't played a full game in a few weeks. I thought we were a little tired. But we didn't tackle well. But the other two I'd like to mention because I think, speaking of guys being out, Malik Epps-Keller comes back, played, I thought, a great game, and Abe Brandiger. They were really good at the corner spot because Palo Duro likes to spread it around. They run a lot of motions. They make us communicate on the back end. And I just thought our secondary has improved so much, and being able to cover those guys like they did was pretty impressive.
Yeah, because I mean they threw the ball really well, and it was just a difficult matchup. And we talked about that last week. They just spread it out. They're going to put you in space and make you have to tackle and all those things. But it clinches a playoff spot. But the final was 31-20, proves the Pirates to 4-0 in the district. Now you kind of have a new foe, but a very familiar one shows up in town, and people are going to say, "Who is Wichita Falls Memorial?" Well. Yeah, they went 3 schools down to 2. This is a lot of Wichita Falls Rider here. Yeah. I mean, I'll let you kind of explain what you've heard. And this is Coach Bindle, so that's the first thing. The uniforms are going to be different. Yeah, and you explain the uniform too. What are they wearing this weekend? What are they? Yeah,
they're blue and red, kind of their main. I guess kind of Liberty, like pretty similar color scheme.
I guess the folks in Wichita Falls just wanted to get away from what the other schools were. Just wanted to start fresh. And probably a lot of.
Yep, I think that's right. And but that you mentioned Coach Bindle, who had been at Rider, was like Wichita Falls Rider with all the success they had, the most successful coach that they've had, longevity, and how went to the regional finals 4 straight years, and we know because we played them 4 straight years in the regional finals and won 2 of those. And they took a lot of the staff. I don't think it's 100%. I don't know how all that worked, but I think a lot of their guys on staff were with him at Ryder. So schemes, what they're trying to do, a lot of that looks exactly the same. But it's a different mix of kids. They've got a lot of kids that were at Ryder that we know, that we coached against. But I think there's others that came from Old High or from Hershey. And so I think that was probably pretty hard. I really think their coaching staff, same with Legacies, just what a hard job that is to mix from 3 schools and 3 different cultures and how a program's run and all the ins and outs of it, and to get them all to buy in and start doing things pulling in one direction. I thought it's pretty impressive. But yeah, so they're going to look a lot. I think if you're colorblind, you might not notice anything different about these guys. They look just like Wichita Falls Rider, as long as you can't tell what color the helmet and what color the jerseys are. But they're really good is the main thing.
Well, and it doesn't matter what jersey they're wearing. Their quarterback's 6'7". Their running back is 210 pounds.
Yep.
They will, and they've been. They're 5-2 this year. They lost in a high-scoring game to Friendship earlier in the year, and then they just come off of what maybe one of the best games in your district to this point. Abilene Wiley last Friday, 45-42. They lose it at the end, right?
At the buzzer.
Yeah,
Wiley kicked the field goal at the buzzer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. You mentioned the 2 main players, and the other running back, number 28, is really good too. So you'll see him a lot in 2 backs because they're trying to get their best personnel out there. They want to run the football. They do a lot of RPO, read you, and kind of look at numbers and see what you're giving them and do a good job of that. But having a quarterback like that can get rid of the ball, he gets rid of the ball on time, and when he does, he's pretty lethal with it. But number 0, Kenji, is a 1,000-yard rusher already. That's pretty impressive at this point of the year.
He's averaging like 168 yards a game already.
Yeah, he's good, and we know that. We played him the last 2 years that he was playing, and so we believe in stopping the run. We're going to have to stop the run. If he rushes for 200 yards on us, we're not going to be on the right side of the game. I know that, and then defensively, they're so sound. They've been running this defense forever. You better out-execute them because they are going to execute at a high level. Interior D linemen are big. I don't know if they're quite as big at some of the linebacker spots as they have been in recent years, but they might be more athletic, might be faster. And all the secondary, seems like every secondary player is about 6'2", 180 pounds, long arms, and they've got the district's leader in interceptions, number 29. Playing a corner spot. So they've got talent all over the field, as you can tell when I start talking about every level of their game, and it's a challenge. But this time of year, that's what you expect.
And you guys had really I don't want to jinx anything, played well in that rivalry in recent years, but you have a healthy respect for Coach Bendel.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of familiarity, a lot of a positive relationship there, and you're competing sometimes twice a year.
Yeah.
We were talking about in the playoffs. So that game, 7 o'clock Friday night, Pirate Stadium, and it's senior night.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have something else?
Well, the
Mavericks?
that rivalry that happened with Ryder, I remember kind of the moment that we knew it was special and neat, but I remember the moment that it was like, okay, the respect is definitely there. Was the COVID year, which that was year 3 of us playing them, and so we played them in the regional finals on New Year's Day because our season was bumped back,
delayed.
So we're New Year's Day, very cold up in Amarillo. They beat us 21-13. Jacob Rodriguez, playing for the Red Raiders, had a really good run to kind of seal it at the end. Anyway, those were the times where you got to the hash and you waved. You didn't shake hands because of the COVID. So you just waved at them to say good game. And our guys got there, and I remember it was Jacob Rodriguez and I think it was Kobe McKenzie. One of our leaders got to the middle, and they both kind of looked at coaches, and then they just went, and like the whole team's they shook hands, kind of dabbed each other up. And it was like at that moment, and we were down, we just got beat. Our season was over, but I think at that moment we went, man, this is a healthy rivalry. There's a ton of respect between the players. They know how hard each group plays, and so Anyway, it was at that moment that I knew that this rivalry meant something and that there was a lot of respect.
And you mentioned Jacob Rodriguez, but I'm just going to go off the top of my head, but Duda Banks, and you mentioned Jacob Rodriguez. And Joe Castles is the quarterback now. His brother Jed played for Texas Tech, now plays at ACU. But then you've got you've got all the Cooper kids, Caden Carr and Holton Hendricks, and so many of these kids that are playing for Texas Tech that have played in this game too. So there's a lot now. They're teammates in college, but just tells you how high level of football. When you got D1 guys, then that'll be the case, I guess. Again with this one as well.
That ACU game, the Tech ACU game, there was 9 guys that played in that Ryder Lubbock Cooper game. So pretty cool.
It is absolutely pretty cool. Senior night, you will have 42 seniors honored before this game. 2 senior managers. Don't want to leave those guys out at all. But how do you handle this? It's always tricky.
Yeah. It is
too emotional, too cold with it. We still got a game to play. I mean, you could, there's a lot going on here.
There is. Kind of like homecoming. We tell them, hey, enjoy it. Like it's part of your experience. It's part of what you'll remember when you're an old man like you, and it's all part of it. But at the same time, how do you want to remember?
Me specifically, it was just like, he was just yeah.
How do you want to remember senior night? You don't want to remember it as I played bad. Whatever my role is on the team, I did it poorly. It's kind of been a theme of this team is whatever your role is, do it to the best of your ability on game day, the best of your ability. And do I want that to be bad on senior night? Do I want to walk off that field with a loss? And I don't think our guys do. I think they approach it the right way. They're going to enjoy it. They're going to take in the moment, but they want to play well. And got the opportunity, if we win, then we get another home game. And I think that's a lot of motivation for them too. I think none of us would prefer to go to El Paso in round 1. We'd rather be at home. So a lot of stuff on the line, and I think that's how our guys approach every game. They are going to take it in. It's going to be emotional at some point, but they're also ready to play ball.
Yeah, and I would try to mention some of these names here, but there's been a core group that's played a lot of football for you and have been really good all throughout middle school and all the way that haven't lost many games. But I don't want to mention names because I'll forget somebody, and I don't want to.
Well, and I don't like to say none of this is about me, but it is for me. It is special. This group has always been special. My nephew's part of this group, one of them, Keenan Catwinkle. And then my first year as the head coach, they were 7th graders. And so we really want to put a lot of time and effort into our middle school program. And so we did that. And I've just got to watch them grow up and got to watch them from young middle school kids that learning to play the game and learning how it works to now being this group of leaders and guys. I mean, it's a special group. It really is.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And senior nights are tricky, man. It's just, but there's business to attend to. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to our 3 things. And I'll keep this kind of football related. Maybe some senior day crossover here. But want to remind you, 7:00. On Friday night, pregame coverage will start at 6:30 on the LCISD YouTube channel. Matt may tune in about 6:45, but we'll definitely be on the radio on 100.7 The Score starting at 6:30 with Tommy Wood and Chip's dad and Taylor Peters, I believe, is on the coverage this week. So with that, some 3 things here.
Okay. Maybe.
Who is the best, in your opinion, current NFL coach right now?
Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good one. It's not my Titans coach, just so you know. It's not.
And there's not a lot of
Callahan,
walking around knowledge of who current head coaches are.
Yeah, there's not.
Because the stints are so short, you don't get to know who they are.
I have, and I don't, again, I think there's levels to it. Like, you can look at straight championships and all that stuff, but for me, McVay is one that I really like.
Sean McVay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think he does. I don't know. I think his personality, how he coaches, to me, he seems like he's coaching kids. And I know that's a business, and then his schemes are really good too, and they've had some success. They've won a Super Bowl.
I wrote down 2 names that I thought you'd say.
Pick?
Well, And I don't know. I mean, he gets a lot of credit, and deservedly so. But a lot of people would say Andy Reid.
Sure.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But that's not who I would have said.
Yeah.
I would have said Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I could get behind that. You talk about sustained success, and
it's impossible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And when you look at who he's got planned for him, and they still just.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
the quarterback situation there has been incredible, and all they do is win games. But yeah, I could get behind that.
Whose high school program in the state? And realistic, we need to do, I guess, maybe same as here. There may be some that are like, well, I like this program because they're located here and they just have all these players. But whose program in the state do you try to model your program after or admire the most?
Yeah, probably Alito. And I mean that's the easy answer. We've played them, but we have tried to make. That's been one of our goals after playing them a few years and hearing. Oh man, bad matchup in second round playoffs, all that. And I know we've talked about that before, but we want to be the bad matchup. We want to be the one that when somebody looks at the bracket, they're trying to avoid us. And so we've done a lot of things to try to make that happen.
Like
so
Lovejoy, maybe was
one.
They need to be saying that.
Yeah, well,
that's a bad matchup for us. Yes, it was. Yeah,
well,
but
and I hope we play them in the regional finals or something too. It'd be fun to do. But they're one, and then we've done a lot of work with Denton Ryan. They've won some state championships. Being on the board of directors for the Texas High School Coach Association, I've gotten to know their coach, Coach Hennigan, pretty well. But even before then, we were doing a lot of things with how we practice, how we format some of our practice stuff. A lot of it came from them and how they do things. They play kids on both sides of the ball. You don't see that a whole lot at our level. And so we've gotten with them. We've looked at how they do some of that stuff, and it's helped us. So those are the two that come to mind that are fairly close.
I love that.
Yeah, and
crossover periods is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what we call it, crossover. Yeah. And I think and you're not seeing a whole lot of our kids. We're kind of banged up and not using a ton of them on two sides, but we've got the ability to, and I think you might start seeing that a little more these last 2 weeks and then into the playoffs.
Okay, not your alma mater, your college alma mater here, but who has the best college fight song?
SMU, obviously. That's my high school fight song. Is the same at SMU.
You can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like that deal over and over again.
So, yeah, I can't. The one I want to say, I just probably can't. I'll get it. But I do think it's, and this comes from my dad, so I'm going to throw my dad under the bus, but he was always a big fan of Texas A&M band. And, like, I can always remember as a little kid when we would play Texas A&M, my dad had a little boom box, and he had a tape of the Texas A&M band. He would always play it. But that just makes me think of college football, like hearing that Texas A&M
Why would he play
song. I don't know. It's like leading up to A&M Hate Week.
Oh, I got you. So he's
like,
I got you. Yeah, because a lot of coaches do that. They'll play the other team's fight song in the deal just to kind of irritate their team. And it's crowd noise and the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah. But I would say that, Texas A&M. And, I mean, that's the deal. Their band's probably the best part of their program. So there you
go. I could offer up some commentary there, but I'm going to keep myself out of trouble. Back on the senior night thing, and this is what made me want to ask this. 3 things that you strive for in a player-coach relationship. Because a lot of these kids you've known for a long time.
Yep.
And you try to coach all players the same, even though you probably don't coach all players the same because they have different roles for you, or you're expecting more of one over the other, whatever. Anyway, but ultimately, what are the 3 things you would strive for with every one of your players that you had a?
Yeah, I hope number 1 that they know that they're loved by us, that I care about them and well beyond the game of football. And that doesn't mean they're going to play every snap or play the position that they want, but we as coaching staff, but if you're asking me personally, that we care about them as a human being and what they bring to the locker room and things like that. I think kind of goes with it, but number 2, I would say that there's a trust, that there's a mutual trust between us. And then lastly, I would hope, and maybe this isn't answering the exact answer, but I would hope there's a fun element to it, that they, it's not an intimidation being around me or our coaches, that they enjoy it. They want to be around us, and I know that's how we feel. We like being around them, and we're around them more than our families a lot this time of year. And I tell them that a lot, that if it was miserable coming up here and being around y'all, our jobs would be awful. But we enjoy it, so I hope it's reciprocated. I hope they enjoy being around us, and that I would say those three things probably most important.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, I wrote trust was the first word I wrote down because it has to be.
Yeah,
that's everybody's goal, and then transparency, which you just have a back and forth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and all that. Okay, you mentioned that you're on one of those boards and everything like that over high school coaches and all that stuff. But okay, so this was a football rules question. If you could tweak or change or alter, however you want to phrase that, 3 rules in high school football.
3. Okay.
What would you remove or change or what? I mean.
Yep. One that is, I think, easy to say right now, and I will start this with I understand the rule, and I think a lot of people don't understand it, but the ejection for targeting, and I think what a lot of people don't understand is a lot of the targeting rule is for the defender, not necessarily for the offensive player, and so I get it, and any safety thing I'm all about, but without replay, to look at it, to ask a ref in quick time to be able to make that call and to eject the kid from the game, I think I would want that removed. One that I'm working on, I've actually talked to some of our kind of how the Texas High School Coaches Association works with the UIL a little bit, and there's an advisory committee, so we've got guys on our advisory committee for football. I've been talking to them a little bit, but we ran into it. On the kick returns, you see a lot of guys do this when it's going over their head. They're signaling to their return team, "Hey, I'm not returning it." Well, we ran into a couple times where that ball hits on about the 2-yard line and sticks. Well, then they run and they've got to get it, and now they return it. Well, a lot of our guys seen this, and we're not continuing down the field. We're slowing up. Well, then now all of a sudden they're returning it. And then on the flip side is we've had that where they're going to blow it dead. Well, then we get a penalty for smoking a guy that's going to be blocking me. And I think it's hard on a kickoff team. So I think that would be one. I think that should count as a fair catch as well, to where if they do have to field it, it's dead, just like a touchback would be. And then the last one, I don't know. With as many changes there have been, I think we're getting it close. I think it's geared towards, and I call our offense, but I'm a defensive-minded guy. I think so much stuff is geared towards the offense these days that I would maybe look at some of the contact rules, like your illegal contact in the secondary and things like that I think are one-sided towards the offense. I want a little more physical football, I guess I'd say.
Let them play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I didn't know if you'd say cut blocks, put those. I mean,
well, and Coach Hayes would definitely want me to say that. We had gotten where our outside zone about 2 years ago was getting really good when you could cut on the second level, and now you can't. But those were the ones that come to mind for me. But they do a pretty good job.
Oh yeah,
I really think they I think most rules are meant for safety.
Sure.
And
they should.
And that's what I mean. That targeting, I get it, and they're trying to change the way we teach how to tackle. That's the deal. They're trying to change all that. So I get it, but I also don't think it's fair to throw kids out when you can't replay it.
And it's also not fair when nobody can tell me what targeting is.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's different week to week.
Absolutely.
And in somebody's eyes compared to somebody else's. But
yep.
Okay, man, that was good stuff. Appreciate it. So again, 7 o'clock Friday night, Wichita Falls Memorial. The Mavericks will be in town, and it's a big game. So make sure you are there and tune in. 100.7 The Score at 6:30. We will have coverage. You can listen to it on your app or on the LCISD YouTube channel. You can watch it as well. For Chris Level, for Chip Darden, and for Colton Coons. So we'll talk to you next time.